Some children don't learn to stay quiet because they are calm by nature or naturally reserved. They learn it because silence feels safer than expression. You didn't make this decision consciously. No one explained it to you in words. Your nervous system figured it out before your mind ever could. You noticed that when you stayed quiet, the atmosphere around you softened. When you didn't ask for too much, adults seemed less irritated, less overwhelmed, less unpredictable. When you held your emotions inside, conflict passed you by. So you adapted. You became observant, careful, emotionally contained. You learned to read faces, tones, pauses, and moods. You learned when to speak and, more importantly, when not to. Your silence kept the peace. Your restraint kept you included. Your emotional invisibility kept you safe. For a long time, this strategy worked, and that is why it became so deeply ingrained. But here is the paradox you may be living inside now. The very behavior that protected you as a child slowly trained you to disappear as an adult. You are not quiet because you have nothing to say. You are quiet because somewhere along the way, your body learned that saying too much came with consequences. Even now, in rooms where no one is threatening you, your nervous system still behaves as if expression is dangerous. This is not shyness. This is not introversion. This is not a personality flaw. This is a highly intelligent survival response that outlived the environment it was designed for. Psychologically, a child who learns to stay quiet often develops hypervigilance, a state in which the nervous system remains constantly alert to potential emotional threats. Hypervigilance is not simply anxiety, it is conditioning. The child's brain learns that safety depends on monitoring others rather than expressing the self. This pattern is often connected to insecure attachment, especially avoidant or disorganized attachment styles, where emotional closeness feels unreliable, conditional, or overwhelming. The child senses, sometimes without words, that their needs are inconvenient or destabilizing. As a result, they shrink their emotional presence. In many cases, there is also a subtle form of emotional parentification. The child may not be given adult responsibilities, but they intuitively understand that their emotions are too much for the environment. They learn to regulate themselves not for their own well-being, but to maintain stability around them. Neurologically, this shapes the brain. The amygdala becomes more sensitive to social threat. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for inhibition and self-control, becomes overactive. The body learns restraint before it ever learns expression. Other children learn to speak and then learn when to pause. The quiet child learns to pause before they ever learn to speak. Silence becomes their native language. The emotional cost of this adaptation is rarely visible, which is part of what makes it so painful. Quiet children are praised. They are called mature, easy, independent. They don't cause trouble. They don't demand attention. But what goes unseen is what they give up. They sacrifice spontaneity for predictability, authenticity for belonging, need for safety. Carl Jung once wrote that the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent. But there is another burden that often goes unnamed, the unlived life of the child themselves. The quiet child carries an invisible grief, the grief of a voice that never fully formed, emotions that were never practiced, anger that never found language. As adults, these individuals often carry a deep fear of being fully seen. Being seen once meant disruption. Being heard once meant consequence. So even joy becomes measured. Even desire is edited before it leaves the body. Even rest feels undeserved. This is not humility. It is self-erasure mistaken for virtue. The fear is not just judgment. It is impact. The fear that their presence might disturb the emotional balance of others. In adulthood, this pattern does not disappear. It simply becomes more complex. These children don't grow into quiet people. They grow into quiet systems. They struggle to ask for help even when they desperately need it. They minimize their needs in relationships and then feel invisible. They are capable, reliable, and competent, and quietly exhausted. They avoid conflict at all costs and then carry resentment internally. They feel safest when they are useful, not when they are vulnerable. They replay conversations long after they end. They feel guilty for wanting more, even when more is reasonable. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies. The most important shift begins when you stop asking what is wrong with you and start asking what this behavior once protected you from. Unlearning does not mean becoming loud or forceful or emotionally reckless. It means becoming honest. It means allowing yourself to exist without constant self-monitoring. It means learning that expression does not equal danger, that boundaries do not equal rejection, that your presence does not require justification. Healing often begins with inner child reparenting, learning to respond to your own emotions with the safety, patience, and permission you never received. It involves noticing the reflex to go quiet and gently choosing differently. Not all at once, not dramatically, but consistently. Philosopher Martin Buber spoke of healing as the movement from relating through function to relating through presence. Your task is not to fix yourself. It is to allow yourself to be whole, to let silence be a choice, not a reflex. The child who learned to stay quiet was incredibly wise. That silence kept you safe when you needed it to, but you are no longer in that room. You are no longer that small. Your voice does not exist to disrupt the world. It exists to connect you to it, and learning to use it is not betrayal of who you were. It is an honoring of everything you survived. You are not broken. You were adaptive, and now you are allowed to choose differently. Thank you for watching until the end. If this resonated with you or helped you understand yourself more clearly, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Support the channel by liking the video and subscribing if you're interested in deep psychology, trauma, and self-understanding. And if there are topics you'd like to explore in future videos, leave them below. We'll unpack them together.